Hello, and welcome to the Libri Labra Book Club. I am joined by my husband, John, aka BookTube Hubby, and also by Book Club VIP member, Tom Brennan. Just as a quick announcement, if you ever want to join us in these live discussions, hold on one second. Okay, in these live discussions, on camera, you can do that by signing up for the Patreon at patreon.com/Libri Labra. There are 3 tiers, and there's different things that you can get. You can get a custom bookmark, you get to help us select books, you get priority commenting in YouTube videos. There are sometimes bloopers and things like that. So just be sure to check out the Patreon. But this month, the selection was done by Tom. He did pick 3 different books. I don't know if this was the one that he really wanted to read. I feel like I cursed.
I'm glad you're saying this.
Yes,
I wasn't going to bring it up. Because somebody had to read classics by the end of the year. I'll just say that.
Yes. So he nominated it, but I voted for it, and I was very eager to read it, and I was very angry at myself. Experiencing the whole thing. I was like, oh, I did this to us. But so what made you want to select the Scarlet Letter, Tom?
It being Thanksgiving time, it's always about the Puritans and such. And I think I sent a note last week or something like that the events in the Scarlet Letter take place like 20 years after the first Thanksgiving or something like that. So keep that in mind. These are the people who had to make friends with the Indians.
Yeah.
So.
They tried to have us read this in 6th grade. Can you imagine?
That still blows my mind.
Can you imagine asking a bunch of children to read this book?
I read it in high school, so I mean,
high school makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like, but 6th graders.
Yeah.
And
well, again, back then I was in the gifted student program.
Well, you buried the lead there.
I wasn't that gifted back then. Okay, I'm not freaking trying to read somebody's like show off penmanship. It's just Jesus.
So
is this the part where we talk the spoilers?
So let's do initial thoughts, but after initial thoughts, we will be jumping into spoilers. If you haven't already read the Scarlet Letter, don't even think about it. Just move on with your life. It's
wow.
Thank you for the unbiased introduction.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
At least watch the movie.
I do want to watch the movie, actually.
Which one?
The one with Demi Moore and Gary Oldman.
The wishful thinking one. Yes.
Yeah, the wishful thinking one, exactly.
Okay, anyway, so we'll have initial thoughts, and then we'll just jump into all of the spoilers.
You want to go my initial thoughts first?
Yeah.
Not again. That was my initial thought.
Thanks, John.
But no. I really was looking forward to getting into it because I knew back reading it and as trying to read it as a child. I knew I didn't like it back then, and I didn't even watch the movie because I knew I didn't care. I had so much hate for the idea that these teachers wanted us to read something that I couldn't understand back then. Like my reading comprehension level was not at that point when they tried to make us read that. But I was really hoping going into it that I would have more. I do have a lot more comprehension, and there is stuff that I picked up, but it was just too much for me. I don't know. It's just. I was looking forward to it, and now I'm just looking forward to being on the next thing.
Is that your?
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. We'll talk about other stuff later.
So I know that part of how I'm feeling right now is my fault because I had the completely wrong impression of what this book was going to be. And so I'm trying really hard not to be angry at the story for that, but I'm also just finding it really hard to get back to that time. Like, I think we've just moved so far past it. I just can't, I can't do it. I it just trying to, every time I tried to tell myself.
Getting angry.
Yeah, I was getting angry.
just getting angry. She's just like, why are they treating people like this? Why? I mean, I can't believe this. But I was like, this is how things were done back then. This is
That's
what
why
they
he
were
wrote the
doing.
book. Yeah.
And this is still what religion does with people. But it's just,
there's so much irony right now because I was going to say I don't consider myself like a hardcore feminist. Interestingly, I picked this shirt today, which says, what does it say?
gaming's feminist Illuminati.
I just pulled it out of my closet and I was just like, oh, I haven't worn that in a while. Anyway, hysterical. So the fact that it was written by a man, like I kept
Everything
placing, no, but listen, I just kept placing certain emotions on that. Like it wasn't just the fact that the story was taking place, but there had to have been so much bias while he was writing it also that was making me angry. What I can say is that it kind of felt like he was showing off, and I think that's a little bit of what John was trying to say.
Yes.
He was just trying to show off his writing. But that being said, for that time and the way it was written, it was, I guess, well written. Probably not my preferred writing style, but I can see how it has value and merit for the way that he wrote it. Like how it was somewhat lyrical, and like there's just a lot of commas. There's a lot of information crammed into each sentence, but I see the value there. I know why it's a classic. I guess I know why it's still talked about. I know why people still read it.
There's a lot of art in the book. There's a lot of art in the book, but for its time, like you were criticizing it for what it is, what is back then, for what it represents now.
No, I know. I
feel like half the time this is like this was Desirai every time that something.
It was so hard. It was so hard for me to go back and just try to put myself in that time. Like I wasn't having it. I didn't want to. I was so angry at it. It was just like, this is a lot for initial thoughts. So yeah, I will wrap it up there. Tom, did you freeze on us?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was looking up a quote in the book. That's all.
So
I was listening though.
I will leave it there and we can continue talking about it after you share your initial thoughts. Your secondary initial thoughts since you've read it before.
Yeah, I was going to say this book reads a little differently now on the second reading because you know something about things that you didn't know in the first go around. So when certain things take place, it's like, but again, without spoiling things, like I said, it might benefit from a reread. Number one, at least you know what you're going to get going in. Number two, like I said, having that knowledge, I think, does make a difference. And
I have to increase my vocabulary before I can reread it.
Yeah.
Did you like it more or less on reread?
I can't answer that because I don't remember what I thought of it the first time.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I read it in high school. So
Right.
And to be honest, the thing I remember about it was, I told you this in the chat before that they played a DVD with Meg Foster as Hester Prynne, and she has the most striking blue eyes I've ever seen. And I can't get this out of my head. So whenever I think of Scarlet Letter, I think of her and with her eyes. So
that's funny.
So, but I think Hawthorne. Like if you read Dickens, I can't remember if Dickens is around that same time period, but he's wordy like that too. So that may have been the style. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the style back then.
Yeah.
Like during the time, it's just that everybody wanted to.
And remember, people wanted entertainment. They had to have books,
right?
It's like there's no television. There's no, this is what you had. So, or unless you went to a live performance, and then who could afford that to do that all the time?
Yeah.
So
they're wordy books.
Yes, they're wordy books. Yes, which I think is funny that Sarah Vowell's novel is called The Wordy Shipmates.
Yeah.
Yes, but here we are. So, but no, I like the book toward the end, because it did show some things which I thought were interesting. But the beginning, especially the customs house, is a slog to me.
That's a perfect word for it, really.
And as the kind of thing where, yeah, and the thing I remember, if I remember correctly from high school, is that Hawthorne loved to write about himself. And I said that's what the whole first 25 chapters of the book is about him. It's like, well, my first 25 pages is about him. And at the very end, oh yeah, by the way, I found this manuscript, and here's where the story comes from. Let's go. But if I recall correctly, he wrote this because he wanted to show what kind of society the Puritans ran here in America. So he may have been biased too. So take that into account.
Makes sense.
So, okay.
But he actually shows. I was actually like thinking, because you were going into this going, oh, we have this whole story afterwards. She wanted the romance.
Yes.
She wanted the romance. She wanted to see why all this happened. But I mean, like, I was actually hoping by the end of the book that you would enjoy more of it. But did you even? Did the last part of the book make it to you? Did you accept it? Did you hear it? Because I feel like it was more or less about them and who they were and what happened and his. I don't know. There's so much to it.
No, I don't think that makes up for what would have been the. Like, I went through all of the sin and all of the guilt and all of the wrongness and like
but didn't even get the good part. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I understand that at the end, like, they were together and like they were buried together and stuff, but like I don't think that makes up for it. I don't think that makes up for the lack of romance.
He didn't have that story to go by. He just knew what they did to her.
It's okay.
Well, the story starts at least a year after they did the deed.
Yeah, the baby's already born.
The baby is already born.
Prison with the baby.
Yeah. So, surprise!
Yeah, but just like how in Outlander, I think it's Dragonfly and Amber, where they start in the future, but then they go back and retell the story. Like, that's what I thought it was going to be like. Like, here we are right now. This is the situation, but let us bring you back. That's what I was kind of expecting. And I was like, when is that going to happen? And then it never did.
But it's interesting that Hawthorne would leave that out, and which maybe says maybe he's a bit more Puritan than he leads himself to believe.
Yeah. I was like, let's skip the scandalous part.
Yeah.
Why do you seem so disappointed in me? I don't understand.
What? What do you mean disappointed?
You're just giving me looks like, I don't know. I mean, it probably was watching the movie trailer that made me feel like, because I thought it would be a somewhat accurate representation of the book, but it looks like the movie focuses way more on what happened between them versus
the wishful thinking.
Yeah, that's
perfect way to put it.
Well, could you imagine, a movie that was made based on what was actually in the novel?
Nobody would watch it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because that's not what modern audiences want. Audiences of Hawthorne's time and before, okay, maybe they were more intellectual that way. I guess I don't know.
Nowadays, I would actually see an actual representation of the movie doing well, though. Well,
I don't think I would watch it.
In intellectual circles, maybe.
Well, it's an art film. Like a sad of life.
Yeah. It ends up being an indie,
and the rose drops onto the ground in the gutter. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's the other reason I didn't really enjoy it is because, to me, like, as far as how I feel about life, like, love is the most important thing. Love is what makes the world go round. Like, so that's, to me, love is like the purpose of life. But
not if you've devoted your life to God. You're supposed to love him or her.
But that was the part that like I just had a hard time with. It's just like to me that's the purest, most beautiful thing, and like they're just pooping all over it. Like making people feel like criminals.
Well, because that's what they do.
I know, but I hated it. It was just like.
Well, again, that's like I said in chat. That's what religion does. It makes crimes out of human failings.
Oh, that's so sad.
But no, like, why did these people think that they could be the judges of that when they themselves are just as infallible?
They're Republicans.
Wow, somebody went there.
No, I think men have always had some stupid double standard, and everything has been run by men. That's it.
I mean,
well, they make Ian Hawthorne, and that's what I was looking for. I thought I had it highlighted, but I don't. Of a super long quote where I think he's trying to say when Hester is before her interviewers, it's like you could. How did he say it? It's like you could have to work really hard to find people who couldn't judge her like they could, implying that they couldn't judge her either. So
I'm wondering how much the book was actually about that itself. Just the idea that all these people are judged and sinners and whatnot, and they still live with they're forced to live with a specific guilt or the idea that that they need to pay for what they've done. But what really did they do wrong as a human being?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's this kind of like unintentional hypocrisy that happens in life. Like, let's say whoever you were 10 years ago believed a certain thing, and after time has passed, maybe you just don't believe that anymore.
Or you're forced to deal with it and change your mind.
And so if someone was like, oh, but 10 years ago you said this, to me, that's kind of like unintentional hypocrisy. And I wouldn't like hold that against someone, because I feel like we change and we grow and we take in new information, and that's totally allowed. But then I don't get the people who can mess up and make mistakes and need certain things and then still turn around and be like, you're a terrible person because you did the same thing that I've done. Like, how?
Right, right. Because everything is on the surface.
It's just a lie. It's just a whole.
Oh, is it a fallacy? Is that what it is? Is that what that word means?
What?
Just
I have to look it up.
I don't think so, but I mean,
I'm looking for a specific word, but that's apparently not it.
But no, but the idea of justice in Puritan times, and which I think holds true till today, is it's all about punishment. It's not about bringing people back into society.
Right. So it's not about rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation. That was the word I could think of. So,
okay. So fallacy is like a wrong belief.
Okay.
So that was the wrong word to use there.
Because I believe in rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like, and so many other countries do too, like in regards to their criminal justice system and stuff like that. And but here,
America's had it wrong for so many years.
Well, America is still Puritan, whether we like it or not.
And they are, and that's where half the conservatives are still living.
So,
because it's like traditional values, right? Traditional values. But I mean, we don't value the same things anymore. But they want it be a specific way. I don't know, man. I there's so much more into the book that it depends on the character that you look at, because then you have the Reverend who is really living with this sin of his in quiet the whole time.
He pissed me off too.
I mean, but you're also not looking at the humanity behind it.
I mean, I just feel like he had it so easy. Like,
they told you the exact opposite, though.
I know, because he was putting himself through the ringer, and I understand because he felt like he had betrayed God and like all those other things. But like, I just wanted to be like, Hester Prynne had to deal with all the stuff, and she had it so hard, and she was keeping somebody else's secret. Like, she had to deal with so much. She wasn't crying and complaining about it. Like, I don't know. It was frustrating. It was frustrating to read. It was like, dude.
Didn't he also have remorse or about her dealing with all of his sins as well? Because she kept everything silent?
Yeah, but those are all like internal feelings is what I'm saying. Like, he didn't really deal with the consequences of anything. He didn't deal because nobody knew. Nobody knew. Like, he
knew.
Yeah, but that's why Pearl keeps insisting that he go up on the scaffold with them. You know, make his crimes public.
Right.
Or open his conscience in public. So she knows what's up.
Children always do.
Yeah. And
you hold our hand tomorrow?
Yeah. And to your point, Desiree, I think Hester Prynne is a much stronger character than
Absolutely.
Jeez. So, but she has shitty taste in men.
Yeah, her husband was a piece of work too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What if it's just men?
But I know at one point I wasn't reading a physical book, but if I had been, I probably would have thrown it across the room. Because like at one point I was like, wait a minute. She thought he was dead because he hadn't been around for like 6 to 7 years.
Yeah, and they're still
still like calling this adultery and prosecuting her in this way. Like, come on.
Well, she's still married. It's
I mean,
like that's your part.
From a legal perspective, I get that, but at the same time, it's like 8 years is a long time to never see your significant other and believe that they're dead. Like, back
then, they could still show up.
Apparently, out of nowhere.
And
hey, remember me?
What? Yeah. Hey, remember me?
Hey, remember me? We're still married.
But I mean, like, that was also why men got away with things so often, because they would get it. They would have a marriage over there, and then they would have a marriage over there. So, dude, that shit's, I don't know, man.
And the way they talked about Pearl,
the elf child.
She was an elf child. She was like the devil spawn. She was like,
so they demonized her too.
Child. I know. And she's just an innocent. And she had nothing to do with nothing. She was born out of love, and they treated her like crap.
Nice.
I don't know how many times she's like, what? This book. It was usually just the way men were treating her.
There was 3 different times where I was like, can we stop reading and just watch the movie? And John
like,
was
no,
like,
let's
we have to finish
let's
the book.
Get through this, please.
Yeah.
Let's just get through
it's only 141 pages. You can look at it.
Was it?
In my book, it's 141 pages.
But it was like, wasn't it 8 hours long or something? It felt kind of long. How long was it? We listened to the audiobook.
8 hours at least?
Yeah, about that.
I don't know.
141 pages took 8 hours to read?
Did you hear those sentences?
How big was the book printed?
Well, they probably put the book small back then because the paper was kind of still kind of valuable. So, but I understand it was like the first mass-produced novel in America.
This ebook says it's 161 pages.
Oh, okay.
But can you imagine having minus 25 for the first stupid shit? But the idea that everybody had to literally hand copy books.
Mm-hmm.
They literally had to hand copy if they wanted to distribute. Be like, hey, you want a copy of this? Let me rewrite it for you.
Well, that's kept the monks in business for hundreds of years.
Yeah, I guess that would have been a great way to memorize the book, huh? or to learn all those words.
So
Is that Hawthorne's most popular?
I think
Yes.
so. I
Yes.
think so.
the other one which I could not stomach is The House of the Seven Gables, which I think is worse than this one.
Okay.
Interesting.
But
I find it hard to believe that you couldn't stomach it.
I finished it, but there's at least one chapter. It's like, why the hell is this even in here? We could have easily skipped this chapter and been none the wiser, But that's another story for another day.
That's funny.
Interestingly, one of the booktubers I watch just recently read a book called The Year of the Witching, I think, and so it takes place during those same times in Salem, and now I really want to read that because I'm curious, how.
I think you're just getting angry again.
No, I'm curious how like a modern day telling of those times.
How watered down it might be?
No, just it's also written by a woman. I don't know. I'm just interested in seeing, could I actually love a book that's set in that time period?
Yes, because the writing style is.
It's all going to be different, but I'm very intrigued about that book now, especially having read this.
But in a sense, though, it's like, well, what if Shakespeare was written now? Could he? That's the thing. What makes Shakespeare Shakespeare? I guess is my question.
I think a lot of the literature in the past is it made it what it was is because of how much it showed of that era, like what like their artistic peak at that point, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, they didn't have more to compare with, so
they didn't know any better. So here you go.
That was good. I mean, it's all good literature. Good literature is good literature, but how far back does that literature go before it starts being like? I mean, we're over criticizing it now for something that we should have been intelligent enough to consume and understand. Right. So, what does that say about us, America?
It's been a long time, man. It's just been a long time.
Would teach their kids at home back then. Like people would teach their own children how to do the things that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still doing that. That's still the thing that happens.
I mean, I'm just saying the quality of education is very different than it was back then. So literature has definitely changed because of
that. And I was also saying that I feel like his writing was kind of a like, look at me and my education. I'm so privileged. I can write like this.
Well, yeah.
Well, plus, Hawthorne is writing this in the 1840s, which is about 200 years after the events that he's writing about take place. And we're reading it about 150 years after that.
Right.
So, but they say classics are classics for a reason because people have found something in it that they liked, and they bought enough of the book that it keeps perpetuating itself. So,
is that an intrinsic value? Just the fact that it still has value later on in life because of how much it's consumed and how much it's been talked about. Because there's plenty in this story to pull information from. It was just whether or not we were able to understand that information because of how verbose it really was. I got confused. It's like some of the sentence I didn't even get to the point of the sentence just because I was just like each part of the sentence was a different.
I wonder if I highlighted something.
Like the amount of
that's the one I was looking for.
It's insane.
There's holy crap. But he does have some good insights, though. I mean, Hester, for example, chooses to exile herself from the community, not the other way around, which I thought was interesting. Because she does that, she gains insights that the other members of the community do not have.
Right.
So I only highlighted one thing because I remember hearing it and being like, wow, it's a single sentence. And it says,
paragraph long.
Dames of elevated rank, likewise, whose doors she entered in the way of her occupation, were accustomed to distill drops of bitterness into her heart, sometimes through that alchemy of quiet malice by which women can concoct a subtle poison from ordinary trifles, and sometimes also by a coarser expression that fell upon the sufferer's defenseless breast like a rough blow upon an ulcerated wound.
Mm-hmm.
And I
So
was
she had a
just
slight
like,
bitterness for shit she's had in the past. And
what?
that look that she can give can make it feel like someone just punched you in an ulcer.
Punch you in the ulcer.
It was just like, jeez.
But again, that what ulcer? And someone had an ulcer on their ankle, right?
I think the point he was trying to make there was that women can be petty and catty and like,
Yeah,
but like,
and can hurt you with a look.
It was. I think it contributed to my anger in that it was just making women seem so bitchy and vile, and I mean, they thought women were witches. Like,
well, catty, I think is what is the word for it. Yeah, that's why I was surprised. Well, I mean, granted, it was the governor's sister, Mistress Hibbins. She's out there in public saying, "I'm a witch," and they don't do anything about her, or at least not during the novel. They do get to her eventually, but
I think, moreover, the upsetting part about this book is the stuff that they did to the women, or to how they made each individual character feel specifically in that context, in that area.
Oh.
Yeah, someone's needing to go out, it sounds like. The fact that they put so much guilt and fear and how did she do that on her? Like, did she exile herself out of logic or out of fear, saying, well, if they're going to do it to me anyway, let me do it anyway. Let me go ahead and just get out. Because how they made her feel about what she did, not knowing whether or not her husband was alive.
I feel like she did a lot to protect Pearl, honestly.
I think she did too much to protect the Reverend.
Mm.
Well, but that was
terms of where she. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, I was just gonna say that in terms of where she picked to live, she just didn't want to deal with their bullshit anymore. So,
okay, that makes sense.
No, even in the parade, they make mention that there's apparently like a 10-foot circle around her where nobody enters. So she's an outcast, and they'll talk about her and throw things at her. It's like, well, screw this. I'm not going to put up with that. So I'm going to just sit down. But what I thought was great is that Hawthorne gave her a real skill that she could support herself. So, and actually make money by it. So, and then for all these Puritans, it's like, well, oh, we hate you because you're an adultery. But could you, like sew this for me? It's like, yeah. And she's the one's making their robes of office and everything else. I'm
gonna take the dogs out.
Okay. I can't remember if it was in the trailer and this is why I didn't watch the movie, because I didn't want it to.
Yes, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I figured I'd watch it after this. But I don't remember if it was in the trailer or in the book, but I know there's a part where like Hester didn't seem like she felt guilt, and she says like, this is your shame. This is not my shame. This is not my guilt. And I appreciated that. And I get that, like, they're punishing her for their feelings and not anything that she was feeling. Because I don't think she was remorseful at all.
Well, I think the Hester in the book is much more stoic than modern versions of her would be, I would think. Mm-hmm. She takes it, and she doesn't really fight back at all. So, and then her fighting back is just, look, I'm going to go live by myself, and come to market once a week, and that's it, So, but there's something to be said for that as well. You know, she's living her own life the way she sees fit. The interesting thing is that she wore the letter throughout.
Yeah, she never.
Yeah, I mean, it never says it. Well, like I'm home. Well, take it.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
And that's why it was so striking that, you know, when at the scene in the river, you know, where she and Dimsdale are talking, it's like, you know, that was so, you know, so important that she actually took it off and threw it away. It's like, look, we don't have to, you know, and I think that's part of the reason Hawthorne made her exile herself, so she could see that how restrictive Puritan society was, and it's like, look, we don't have to deal with this bullshit. We can go somewhere else.
All right.
You know, okay, maybe not with the Indians, because that's not a good thing, but you know, maybe back to Europe. So, and the other thing, you know, to that, you know, Hawthorne makes the point, you know, Dimmesdale is one of those people who was built for civilization. How he ended up in the New World, I don't know, but you know, his gifts are better suited to, like Hawthorne said, in a big city, big library, big, you know, scholarly community. But yet here he is, you know, again, mystifying choice, just like why Hester decided to marry Chillingworth in the first place.
Right.
You know, the implication is that she's poor, but she's young and hot. So why him? You know, why could it be somebody else who was rich?
I thought like her parents played a big role in that. I thought they mentioned.
I don't remember.
I thought that's what it said, that her parents had like either he was friends with her family or friends with her parents or something.
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
we're friends with her dad. Yeah. Keep that in mind. Like, he's the same age as her dad. Is the implication.
Yeah.
So, but that's what. And again, this, I don't know if this is Hawthorne on purpose or Hawthorne the way we read it as a modern reader, but you know, he, like in the first chapter with the women, that circle of 5 women that are like Hester Prynne, you know, it's like he continually makes the identification of the women as old and fat and ugly, and Hester is young and beautiful, and you know, very looksist dichotomy there. You know, the implication being is that they're not young and beautiful and hot anymore, so they're angry with her, and they're just taking her out because of this. So, but yeah, I mean, toward the end, I enjoyed the book, but Jesus Christ, he can't say anything directly. Nowhere in the book did he say, you know, not in these words, you know, oh yeah, Hester, I am the baby daddy. You know, no, he doesn't say that. You have to infer it.
Yeah.
You know, or again, like what happened to Pearl, which I kind of liked, but I kind of didn't. I was like, again, same thing. Just this could have been like 2 or 3 pages shorter if you just said, "Oh yeah, Pearl went to Europe. She got married. She married a rich guy, and she's living happy ever after." Done. You know, and then we can go back to Hester. You know, but I thought it was interesting that, and for the gravestone, I mean, they put the freaking letter on the gravestone.
I know.
I don't know if that's an homage or a fuck you move.
Like,
because they buried them close together, but not close enough together to. It's like,
I thought it was pretty messed up.
What did I miss?
It's like leave them in peace already. You still got to put the A on their gravestone.
Yeah.
Apparently,
the answer is yes.
Oh man, they have to. They can't. They just got to follow them to God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even marriage ends it till death do us part. So I mean, come on.
Yeah. The marriage is over. You're no longer an adulterer.
Yeah.
No, that's not how that works. You're branded.
Oh, literally. You're no longer married, but you're still an adulterer. Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about Chillingsworth. What kind of piece of work
we
that
we
guy
were talking a little bit that, and
you
Desirai,
guys already past that?
Well, no,
okay.
Just briefly, but in the sense that, because I was like, how the hell did she end up with Chillingworth? If she's young and hot as he says she is, you know, God, she could have done a lot better. But Desiree was saying, okay, maybe it was a friend of her father's. And so, well, keep that in mind. He's the same age probably as her father.
Yeah.
And she's married to him.
That wasn't very
but
uncommon.
like they did say that he was a good man. Like he was, he might have been older, but he was pretty chill. Because when he found out about the affair, he started going cuckoo and he started behaving differently. Obviously, he started feeling rage and envy and whatever else. But
I mean, who told him to get held up?
8 years.
Well, I think that was because, and again, he never comes out and says so, but was it seemed like Chillingworth was involved in the murder of that Thomas Overbury or something. So that's why he had to leave England. And that's how it got him to the New World. So that's the reason for his disappearance.
Also, were there portraits of these people in this paper or article that Nathaniel Hawthorne found? Because how does he know what anybody looks like?
Well, it could have
if
been
he's writing it 200 years.
Yeah, it could have been written in text.
I guess. All right.
Well, again, like I was before while you were out, we were talking about the first scene where it seems like Hawthorne's doing like a very Luxist dichotomy of, okay, here's Hester, young and hot and whatnot, and here's the old women who hate her, because she's because they are not, and it's like so it's not necessarily for her wrongdoing, it's because she's what they want to be again, but they can't.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we still see that today, so
right. But no, it's the kind of thing where it's not, again, like Desiree said, he doesn't come out and say it, but it's their persecution of Hester says more about them than it does about her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my God.
So,
and I guess I use that in irony.
But
just the Puritan way was very I don't know. A lot of that stuff they brought from England too, didn't they?
What?
How they lived as a community was them trying to get out of the Queen's rule, right?
Well, I understand that, if I recall correctly, they left England because they thought the Church of England was too Catholic. And they said, after trying to reform it for several years, like, well, screw this, we're going to the New World.
We're going to make our own way of life, and this is what they did.
And this is what we did. But then again, I don't think it's just the Puritans. It's like they may be the more extreme example, but I would imagine, spare the rod, spoil the child was completely in effect by then at that time. So I don't think it was just them. It's a continuum. They may be on the extreme, but
how did we end up burning people? Like,
I think you said it the other day. You were just saying that, like, if a man had an affair and the woman was the only one that would be able to say anything about it,
you get rid of the woman and exactly. There's a demon took hold of her,
Mm-hmm.
But what?
That's like
can you
how do you
sentencing somebody to burn to death because what?
Like, how do you do those things in the name of religion and then look at yourself in the mirror and call yourself a good person? Like,
you did it for God. You didn't do it for you. You didn't do it. It wasn't. Oh my.
Okay. I know I ask this every so often. I'm going to ask you. Did we read Good Omens?
Yeah.
Yes.
Agnes Nutter.
Yeah.
That's why throughout the novel, I said, oh my God, she should totally do an Agnes Nutter on there.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna have to pull some characters from Pratchett's repertoire.
I don't know, how many classics have you read at this point? We read?
We read together because you've read more, but
like, how would you rank this in difficulty? Because I feel like it was the most difficult.
I mean,
For
I
me
would say
thus far.
yeah, but I mean, if you actually take the time to, like, if I probably read it with my eyes, I'd probably understand it a little bit better. But I retain information through audio, and that was hard. So,
Oh yeah, it
it's just
wasn't frequent. I had to back up, wait, and
yeah,
just
my reading comprehension skills are not that high.
well, some of the sentences are very dense and take a while to pick out the meaning. So,
Yeah, that's that density is what gets in the way.
I think when we were reading Wuthering Heights, I was also like reading the Spark Notes. Like I'd read a chapter and then read the chapter of the Spark Notes.
I should have done that for this.
I'm wondering if I would feel differently if I had done it for this.
Yeah, probably.
But I don't know. I think I would still be just as angry.
Part of your anger is coming from the inability to comprehend what he's saying. Like,
not so much.
We don't need a paragraph to find out that she has a catty look. But I mean, again, that was the style back then, and I understand. I would be inclined to read more of that style, just to actually have a better understanding. Like just to get past this initial "what am I reading? Oh my god" part.
I mean, I
like the story. I don't like how it's told.
Fair enough.
I feel that.
But again, it all has to do with, like, it might even be just perspective and us, where we're at as a society versus what that society was back then. It's too much to look into.
I think like part of the reason that I decided to even make a classics challenge is because I definitely don't gravitate towards them, and it had to be a challenge, or else I probably wouldn't have done it. But also at the same time, I just feel like I don't want to have to work so hard to read a story. Like I just want to like just get it in there, but don't hurt my brain on the way in.
Yeah,
it's a cute way to put it.
Yeah, but there's good working and there's bad working. I think this is bad working, but there are some novels which I can think of, The Sound and the Fury being one of them, where you have to work for it, but it's worth it in the end. But
what book was this?
The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner.
That's a classic too, then, right?
It is. It's
challenge accepted.
Good luck. No, I'm serious. It's
that bad. Damn, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I'd be willing to read all of these eventually.
It's the kind of thing where, with that, in that book's case, you'd have to read it more than once to get what he was.
I better like the story.
I like the story, but that's me.
It's still not worth reading again.
Yeah. Oh no, I read it like 3 times now.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm okay with that. Like, what did I just read 3 times?
Did you read it 3 times?
I did. What was it?
The
Shishin Lu.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't read the second book through a second time yet because we had this to go through. So, but now that Death's End is knocking on my door,
yep,
this will make me feel better about putting my every time we get to we got to listen to this book. I'm like, okay.
They aren't all like that though. I mean,
I know, but it's just. I hate that I had that feeling. I hate that I have that feeling towards a book. It's just, I should be able to just like consume it and be like, I liked it, I didn't like it, but no.
It was
like this one was almost like torture.
No, but that's good in a way, because that's what art is supposed to do. It's supposed to provoke a reaction, good, bad, or not indifferent.
Right. You're right.
The worst reaction you could have is apathy.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So
it's very true.
Because I know in my other book club, the books that are the best discussion ones are people where some people hate it, some people love it, and that's where you go at it. This is especially true of The Sound and the Fury, but So as long as it provokes a reaction, and if you don't like it, cool. That's your prerogative. But it's a good book. If I think it's a good book, then I don't really care what you think, except in the terms of to engage in the arena of ideas and say, why do you like it? What do you see that I don't? So
that's why I like these conversations, to be honest. But we are reading a book that's 250 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's still inciting reaction.
Yep.
So that's why it's a classic.
And, even Hawthorne in the book says, they were capital crimes, what we would consider like, we just laugh it off.
My neighbor did that last week.
Yeah.
Another celebrity thing or something. It's like,
yeah, right.
I mean, and that was kind of how I was feeling about it. I was just like, with all the stuff going on in the world, like this is the hill you want to die on. Like this is the.
Yes, you're saying that as a modern reader, yeah.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
acceptable. Back then, that's why you read the book. It tells you that people took this shit a lot more seriously back then.
That's funny.
So
A lot more seriously.
Mm-hmm. I also thought it was funny his description of Chillingworth as a quote unquote doctor. It's like, oh yeah, well I can throw some plans in here and oh yeah, hey Doc, what's going on? What's up?
No, dude, can you imagine how many people did that? I learned a couple things from the Indians.
Oh, you mean like Claire Fraser.
They don't like us. What are you learning from them?
Yeah, like Claire Fraser. Yes. Oh yeah, that's another thing.
Absolutely.
The events in this book, I believe, take place about 100 years before the Battle of Culloden.
That was in 1942?
No.
No, 1720.
1720.
1620.
So,
80.
okay. I'm thinking the 1800s. I was like, wait, how
Yeah,
does that make sense?
no.
Okay,
No.
all right, 1600s. All right.
No, because around this time it was James I that came to the throne, and I believe he was one that's too Catholic for everybody. So,
And that was before they actually saw the Americas as a separate thing. So this is before Jesus Christ, not him, but it was before the colonies themselves, like right before the like this is one of the first few colonies, right?
yes. Yeah, because Roanoke was found. I can't remember when Roanoke was founded. Let's take a look.
But the Roanoke people disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to that community.
1585, so it's not that much longer.
1585?
1585, yep.
Wow. I didn't realize.
When things were just getting started for the English on North America. But and Hawthorne points that out because he would like talk about the governor and say how he dressed all old fashioned with the ruff, Elizabethan ruff and everything, and people have their different uniforms and such. So, but I thought it was interesting that for as much as Puritans eschewed the beautiful clothes, which I thought was a great move by Hester, dressing Pearl up in the richest fabric she could find, as just to make her stand out. But how they would have their robes of state and the priest robes all ornamented, and that apparently is okay, but this other stuff is not. So they must be great fun at parties.
Jesus.
That's true.
So, do we want to do final thoughts?
Was there more to add?
I don't know. Is there?
I don't know.
I think we can do finals.
I think
Just so quickly.
yeah, I am. No, I just
You told me already, so if you're trying to change it.
Did I tell you already? What I was going to give it?
Yeah.
I'm not the person I was 10 minutes ago.
Well, again, I get, the merit in his writing and why it's something to be revisited. But as far as my overall enjoyment of the story,
Mm-hmm.
I would give it 2 stars.
Okay.
What did I read? Excuse me, sorry. So 1 star was that I read it.
No. 1 star is did not like. 2
Okay.
stars is
It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
3 stars is I liked it.
Liked it, loved it, and then really loved it.
Yeah.
I want some more
5
of it.
is it was amazing.
I don't know what to say, whether I liked it or not.
I mean, you didn't.
Like,
you
I
weren't
like the
very
story.
eager.
I just don't like how it was told. So, 2.5.
Okay. So would that be rounded up or
I'll
down?
give it a 3 just to because it's possible I might reread it in the future.
You're full of shit. You're not gonna read it.
Wow. Boom.
It's possible, not probable. But I just think that there's again, it's another one of these that there was so much, the density of the writing left more to be discovered in my perspective. Like, I just for me to be able to pull it in, I couldn't take it all in one sitting. I couldn't.
Well, in that regard, I don't think we mentioned this yet. Hawthorne tells the story in such a way that he's telling the story. He's not showing us. And that puts us even at a further remove from, the actions that are going on. I think if it was like, if it was from Hester Prynne's point of view, it would be much more involved.
I think that would be.
She would have loved it.
Yeah, I love
because then you have the thoughts of
exactly.
of what's going on, and you have more intel on the actual thoughts and feelings of the characters versus this is what happened.
Yeah. I didn't. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, as I say, it's more likely, you're reading a newspaper article about what happened, later.
Makes sense.
So.
I didn't say this during the discussion, but I know while I was reading it, I felt like it was just all so melodramatic, especially whenever it was like Dimmesdale was talking and woe is me, and it felt very melodramatic to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess for its time, maybe it was, but it was accurate. But it's just like, come on, relax. I don't know.
But you keep saying that the Reverend's story. I just feel like you keep taking away from his
plight.
Yeah. Like, I feel like you're just not seeing like his internal struggle at all. Because he cared, and he apparently.
I didn't say he didn't care.
I
believe,
from my perspective, it just sounds like you keep picking on the Reverend,
I believe he loved Hester, and then he cared,
but not enough to go against his teachings.
No,
this is supposed to be final thoughts.
I don't pity him, is what I'm saying. I didn't.
There it is. Okay.
But the funny part was, and Hawthorne points this out in the novels, like when he would tell them, "Oh, I am the lowliest, vilest sinner," they'd say, "Oh, no, you're not." It's like they're not believing it. Right? He's actually telling them the actual truth. It's like they are so biased for him,
right?
Yeah. Are we watching the movie tonight?
I guess.
All right, I'm just wondering, because
I would be interested to know what you think if you do.
I feel like we should provide an update.
I've not seen it, so
the one with Demi Moore.
I know of it. So
with Demi Moore and Sirius Black.
Yes.
Why are you looking at me like that?
You haven't seen it, Tom?
No, I just know of it. Like I said, I know if I recall correctly, the ending is much different from the way the novel ends. But it could be themed.
Which would make sense due to Hollywood always.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Yeah. That or Last of the Mohicans. I think that was another one of her films that is very much different from the ending, but I could be wrong. But
I think this movie came out in '95. I think.
yeah, and that's the thing, it clearly is inspiring people to make all these art pieces around it, like fan fiction in a way. So it's still a compelling story, and maybe, like you said, it's just the way it's presented here that is the issue. So with that said, my final thoughts would be that I gave her 3.5, rounded down to a 3, because I did think toward the end he did start landing stuff where he wasn't in the first half of the book. So
I think there was more humanity put in the last part of the book. Like like the first part, it was really telling the story. It was really just getting to the point of what's going on, and then the last half was the aftermath, like the maturity aspect of what they went through during the child's bring up.
Well, to that point, I thought it was interesting. He brings up the family coat of arms on her childhood home, when she leaves it, and then he rounds out the book with the coat of arms that she now has on her grave. So it's like, what person was she in between? The notion of people being the same person but different people through their lives. So she did have a coat of arms at the end. So
a lot of meaning can be wrung out of this book.
Oh yeah, it's not a bad book. It's just like I said, sometimes it's a bit densely written. And I wish I could find that freaking, because it's like a huge sentence, and it's like, I think he's saying this.
That's the problem. I don't want to have to go through the whole book going, hang on, let's just analyze this real quick.
Yeah.
Pause this. Oh, he just said that she's catty. Okay.
What was that? Going. Wait, what was that now? I'll go back and.
Yeah. Just multiple times I had to be like, what was that word they just used?
Oh my God, if I heard like
ignominious?
Yes, like one more time.
Ignominious?
That word so many times.
Well, okay, that leads me to another question. Since I would not have thought of this had you not brought up ignominy? Yeah, I guess I don't know.
Ignominy?
Where was the guillotine? Or is that another book that you're talking about?
It was him talking about the it was the customs house.
Oh, okay.
It was during the customs house. If anything was to be a guillotine, this would have been it for this. Meaning it put an end to this thing, or it killed this thing, or it decapitated this problem, or he used it in such an not only did he use that word that many times in the first 25, but there was so many other places, other words that he didn't need to reiterate so many times. But it was just, you could tell it was just I could put this word here.
Look at this big word only I know.
Yeah. And the only other place I've ever heard ignominy or the ignominious, I can't even say it. Ignominious.
Yes.
Was from Corey Taylor from Slipknot and Stone Sour, uses it in his lyrics. That's the only other place that I've ever heard that word.
Oh, maybe you're reading the wrong books then.
Maybe.
I told you that I saw it in a video just recently. Like somebody was making a gaming video. No, actually it wasn't a gaming video. They were like pretending it was a future election, and they were talking about that it's been discovered the AOC had played Twitch, however many years prior, and
talking about her
and they were like shaming her with it. Yeah. It was just, but
I mean, okay, since you brought that up, I mean, everything I heard about that, that event that she did was very positive.
Oh yeah, she raised a lot of money.
Yeah, young voters, and she was having fun, and people were having fun. It wasn't like, oh, vote for me. It was like, hey, let's have fun playing this game.
Yeah, no, there was it wasn't a ploy. It wasn't a
Right.
marketing scheme. She literally stops to have fun with people,
Yeah.
and it's very nice to see that.
Yes. Now, Biden Island on Animal Crossing is this other story.
I don't know. I haven't visited Biden Island
I don't
The
think you
hell are
can.
you talking about?
in Animal
Oh,
Crossing.
okay.
You,
I
you
thought
can't anymore.
they banned it. They banned it. All
Aw.
political.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, they look up Biden Island, and I was fairly recently that Nintendo banned all sorts of political stuff like that.
I'll have to look because I think I
That's
had a
sad
Biden sign
because
somewhere.
they made like like yard signs and all sorts of
Yeah.
shit. I thought that was
It's really
brilliant.
Cool. I thought so too.
Yeah, I did too, but apparently Nintendo didn't see it.
Interesting.
Because it incites anger
Yeah.
for other half of people,
Well,
or for 30% of whatever.
honestly, I think it's because it's people are using their assets in a way they didn't intend it. They don't like that.
Yeah, no, Nintendo definitely has that problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only place that I ever remember being like, we didn't intend for this to happen. It goes away.
They just canceled
It's Guillotine.
a Smash tournament because somebody was organizing a Smash tournament and they didn't like the way it was.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah. So
If you give away something wrong using their stuff,
They're
like say,
fine,
hey, if you playing some sort of game and you want to use a giveaway, and even if it's your stuff, your channel, your giveaway, they'll like, you can't do this with our stuff.
right.
Do not do this.
I mean, I can see why they do it, because if they don't, then that opens the doors. But even like, it sucks that the good stuff gets taken down with the bad.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting a little off.
Far foot.
So next month, I mean, I think you're finished with your final thoughts, Tom.
Oh, yeah,
Did you have any?
Yeah, I'm good.
So next month we will be reading Death's End
Death's End.
by Cixin Liu, and it is the third book in the Three Body Problem trilogy. So we'll be finishing that this year. I know you're really excited.
That'd be the second trilogy that we've knocked out this year.
This year, really? That's kind of cool.
We took care of God's Grave, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Is that this year? Yeah,
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah, Dark Dawn. So,
That.
if you've been reading along, if you've read the first two books, please come back and join us next month when we discuss Death's End.
Oh, please read that. Oh, such good story, I think.
has
it's a
been
good-
until now. Yeah,
I think it's a really good thought piece for, what was it, cosmic sociology?
I said this before when we talked about the body problem, but you really need to play Civilization to get a better understanding of what's going on here, because it really puts things in perspective about technology and
The technology boom,
Yeah.
how everything,
and what you prioritize as a society and that sort of thing.
Interesting. I
So
think there's like a mobile version of that.
No, Civilization is too big. But
a novel version of that.
A mobile version,
let's see
like
if we
for mobile phones.
It's on the Nintendo Switch.
Switch?
can- yeah,
Okay.
it is on the Switch.
All right.
I know it. I played it on my Switch Lite and it does work pretty well. So
I'll have to check that out then.
Is it the original Civilization? Because I think they're like Civilization 4 or 5. Oh, 6?
I'm talking about 6. Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah. All right.
All right, everyone. Well, again, hopefully you'll come back and join us next month when we discuss Death's End by Cixin Liu. If you've made it this far, thank you for joining us and have a wonderful evening. So, bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.